Next slide of the investment bank, that is with regards to the differentiate between the investment bank and the commercial bank. So here we are going to understand what is the difference between the investment bank and between the commercial bank. So starting with the first point, as we know that the investment banks are not going to take the deposit the way it has been there for the retail bank or the commercial banks. So when we say it take deposit with regards to, you know that whenever the customers wants to deposit their money with regards to their fixed deposit, it is a recurring deposit, they can go to the bank and they can keep the money into these kind of commercial banks or the retail banks. But in case of the investment bank, such kind of a facility is not available. Then moving ahead with the next differentiate, that is with regards to providing the lending services to their customers. So we know that the retail banks are offering different lending services. It could be with regards to lending for the purpose of home loans. It is the car loans for setting up the businesses. It is for your personal loans. But that kind of different loan facilities or providing such kind of loans is not available with the investment banks. Okay. The client network also held with the commercial bank is much high as compared to the client networks, or the number of customers with the investment banks, it is pretty less. So here you are going to get only the you can say the cream customers, and here you will have all the normal customers, the retail kind of clients for the commercial or the retail banks. In case of the commercial bank, the services are pretty much standardized. Okay, so as we discussed, the standard services with regards to your current account, it is the saving accounts, it is lending services, it is deposits, and so on and so forth, and all the services are also very kind of standardized. Okay, in comparison to investment banks, it is they are offering customized services to their clients. So the way they want it, they can mold the things and they can work it for themselves in order to enhance the returns. So that is what it is being offered by the investment banks. Under investment banks, they are offering certain specialized services. Okay, so it is not like the one, you can say they are kind of providing a very specialized services for their clients, and these services include like providing strategic advice to the companies. It is on their structures, acquisitions, disinvestment, capital market products such as debt, equity instruments, and so on and so forth. It is, these guys are not kind of providing those kind of a specialized services, but these guys of kind of provide a very basic services, which is kind of services available to a company, but it is usually within their remit to provide strategic advice on what the company should do. Okay, so they will never provide any strategic advice with regards to what the company has to be doing. So that is being provided under the investment bank umbrella. But in case of the commercial or the retail bank, it is they are helping them with regards to the execution of those strategic decisions. Okay, so all those different related services related to those strategic part will be taken care by the commercial banks. So strategic advice is only in case of the investment banks, but there is no strategic advice provided in case of the commercial banks. So that needs to be kept in mind. Okay, then we have the expert services. Here we have a non-expert services, guys. So what do we mean by expert services and what do you mean by non-expertise services? So when we say expertise services, it is definitely an services which is being offered by the experts in the markets, or the who have the expertise into the different areas. Okay, and not like the normal kind of a culture. Okay, but when it includes the non-expertise services, for example, it is your lending the loans, it is collecting the cash, it is posting the journal entries into your bank accounts, it is providing other kind of a lending loans, and so on and so forth, where there is no expertise required. In this case, the expertise is required because we have seen in the previous slides, in order to generate the returns, it is very important that the investment banks are kind of doing their research and then narrowing the scope of the different avenues which are there based on the clientele which they have. So the services which suit to the hedge fund may not be suitable for the mutual funds. So that kind of an expertise, they have it in each of these areas. And based on that, they are being carrying their research, and based on their clientele, they are kind of forwarding those services to their clients. Okay. And also always remember, the fee structure for the investment bank is usually very high as compared to the retail or the commercial banking, because the services here are like extremely in expertise in nature, whereas in case of the commercial banks it is kind of a non-expertise in nature. Then investment banks are also, you can say, assisting with regards to the IPOs, public and the private share offerings. So these are the services, you can say, whereas the merchant banks are helping the enterprises who are too small to raise the capital using the large exchanges. So they are kind of handling the entire, you can say, a gamut of the IPO for the larger corporates, customers and all so forth. But in case of the merchant bank, they are very small, and they kind of just help the small enterprises who are in need for the capital, okay, with the help of using the large exchanges. These investment banks, they are kind of helping the large corporates and the governments, etc., to raise the capital that we have seen here. They are helping the small enterprises to raise the capital. Okay. Then with regards to the what you call as the product part, we know that these investment banks deal into the most complex products which are available in the entire gamut. These different financial products will include derivatives, OTC, equities, exchange traded instruments, money market instruments, repos, and so forth. Whereas these merchant banks kind of deal into the vanilla kind of products which are kind of easily available. For example, your home loans, your auto loans, your insurance rolls, which are like very primarily based on the interest income part of it. Okay. So they ensure that they are not getting into very complex nature of the business which they cannot handle. Okay. And in the expertise services, we also have to remember that investment banks are also have the expertise with regards to mergers, acquisitions, and so forth, whereas merchant bank doesn't have the idea about such kind of an mergers and acquisitions. So this is kind of on and whole the distinguish between the investment banks and the merchant banks, which will give you the complete insight about the roles and responsibilities of the investment bank. And from this we can clearly conclude that the investment bank has to play a very larger role as compared to any retail or the, you can say, commercial or merchant banks. So they are kind of having a very skilled resources in the markets, and which are primarily being trained to do and execute these kinds of jobs, handle these complex products, handle the complex transactions like the mergers, debt originations, and so forth, and raising of the capitals, performing the research, which is kind of the most core activity of the investment part, because based on that the entire sell side is based. It is, if that is not executed properly, the buy side will go for a complete toss.